I'm Julia Hood, the manager of school and family learning at Reynolda House Museum of American Art. This video goes along with a family first workshop that we have and a kit available for purchase that has the materials that you need for this project. In this project, you're going to learn how to create a stab-bound book. And the insides of that are going to allow you to create your own bestiary of mythological creatures. So Reynolda House in its decorations has beasts from classical mythology. We have satyrs and pans, and then some other combinations of fish and eagles and unicorns. So if you visit the museum, you can see some of these classical creatures. With this book, once you make it and you can draw some of your own illustrations and then add color to illustrations that we already have in the kit, you'll then be able to open your book and create your own images by selecting a head of one creation, a body of another, and the legs of another. So you could make something like a griffin with an eagle and a lion, or make your own odd creation like we just did. So if you follow this video, I'll show you the materials that you need for this project and how to make it. To create this precise project, you can purchase a kit through the Reynolda House Museum store. To create your own version of this project, see the downloadable instructions for materials and a drawing guide. In the kit, you will receive colored paper for your book covers, decorative paper for your end papers, and mat board, all cut to size. There are 2 glue sheets to put under your work while gluing, but you can also use scrap paper from home. You will receive a glue stick for building your book covers and a blunt needle and twine for stitching it together. The kit contains an optional cover page, 7 illustrated pages pre-cut, and 3 blank pages for making your own drawings, as well as a pencil. The kit will also have a small strip of paper with 3 guide holes to help you re-punch holes during one step in the process. You will find a 4-page booklet with inspiration, illustrations, and a guide to mythological and other imaginary beasts, both ones you can make with your book and other creatures you could create depending on what you draw on your blank pages. You will also need a pair of scissors. If you have a ruler or a bone folder, which is a tool used in bookbinding, those will come in handy, but they're not required. If you'd like to color the illustrations and your drawings, you will need colored pencils or markers. 1 or 2 binder clips or clothespins would also be helpful when you stitch the book together. Finally, all the pages and spine boards in this kit come with pre-punched holes. If you are going to create another book like this from home, you will need an awl or an ice pick and a scrap block of wood, and possibly an adult to help you, to punch holes for your book. Open your kit and set aside all materials except the large colored paper, the mat board pieces, a glue sheet, and your glue stick. The mat board pieces are the thicker, almost cardboard-like boards. Lay 1 large piece of mat board and 1 small strip of mat board with pre-punched holes onto your cover paper. Leave a small gap between them, about 1/8 of an inch wide. Leave an even gap on your paper around all the boards as you see in the video. Place 1 piece of mat board onto your glue sheet and cover it with glue. Then press it in place on the cover paper. It doesn't matter what color your mat board is, as it's going to be covered. It also doesn't matter if the mat board matches. Repeat with the other piece of mat board. Then repeat the same thing with the other cover. Because we're using plain paper, the orientation of the boards in relation to each other on the paper doesn't really matter. What matters is that gap between and that they're centered on the paper. Fold the corners of the cover paper in over the mat board so that the corner of the mat board is touching the fold and the construction paper is snug with no gap between it and the mat board. Do this for all 4 corners on each cover and glue down. You may use a bone folder or the end of your glue stick to help press your paper into place. Next, fold the paper sides snugly over onto the mat board. Again, you can use a bone folder or a ruler or the end of your glue stick to do this. With the glue sheet in place, apply glue to these tabs and stick them down. Press with your fingers or the end of the glue stick to help them stay. Re-glue as necessary, and then repeat with both covers. With a clean glue sheet, place your decorative cover paper pattern side down. Cover the back with glue, being sure to get all the edges and the middle. Glue it in the center of your book cover and use a ruler or a bone folder to help smooth it out and stick it in place. Reapply glue as necessary. Your book is going to fold along the gap between the two mat boards, that thin little space that you left. Use a bone folder, a soft edge of a ruler, or the corner of the end of the glue stick to gently make an impression on your cover paper along that line. Be careful not to press too hard and rip it the way I did. Check your glue and reapply as needed. Press along the gap on the end paper side as well. Here is where the placement of your end papers might matter. Lay your covers out so that the thin mat board edge of each are in the middle. They are the spines of the book, and this is how the book will open. So you might want to think about how you place your end paper here if you want them to match when the book is open. Glue the end paper onto the second cover and again gently press a line along the gap. Now, use your fingers to find the pre-punched holes on your spine board. Take your needle and poke a hole through the cover and end papers where these holes are. Run the needle completely through each hole at least twice. If you have trouble finding the holes, use your hole guide and lay it over the spine. Set aside your covers. It's now time to prepare your book pages. If there are any illustrated pages you don't want to use, you can take them out. You can also rearrange them if you wish. Find the 3 pages without any illustrations. Place these so that the holes are to the left. There should be 2 horizontal lines. You're going to cut along those later. Along each horizontal line, there are 2 tiny vertical lines. These are the places that your drawings must pass through in order to match up with the other illustrations when you flip the pages. For example, the neck and/or the shoulders need to be as wide as the space between the 2 vertical lines on the top horizontal line, and the waist should be as wide as the space between the 2 vertical lines on the bottom horizontal line. Watch as I draw a serpent and make sure that the body meets up with the vertical lines. Draw 2 or 3 different creatures, one on each page, using your pencil. You can choose to color them in now before you cut the flaps, or wait until after you stitch your book together. Notice how I made little lines with my colored pencil to make hair following the shape of the body. When I colored the hooves, I first made lines all in one direction and then in the opposite direction to make it darker. This technique is called cross-hatching. Now, cut along the horizontal lines on your drawing pages, going from the right edge until the line stops. Try not to cut beyond this point. Gather up all of your papers in the order that you want them. It's time to stitch the book together. Place your pages between the top and bottom bookboards, your covers, placing all the pre-punched holes on the left edge. Use your needle to press them through the holes to make sure that all the holes are lined up. You can clip your book together to help it stay in place with 1 or 2 clips. When you have all of the holes lined up, thread your needle, but do not make a knot. Run the needle from the back of the bottom hole to the front and pull until there's just a small tail of twine, maybe about 3 inches long, at the back of the book. I recommend clipping this tail in place with a binder clip or clothespin if you have one, but you can also try to hold it in place while you stitch. Wrap your thread down along the bottom edge of the spine and then pull the needle up back through the same bottom hole. Then again, wrap the thread around the spine and once more bring your needle through the bottom hole to the front. You can press the bottom of the needle against the table to help push it through if you need to. Pull it tightly every time. Now, send the needle down the center hole from the front side to the back side. Wrap the thread around the spine and send the needle back through the middle hole to the back. From the back of the book, send the needle up through the top hole. Send it around the spine and back through the top hole, and then send it around the top of the book and once more through the top hole. Finally, send the needle from the front side through the middle hole to the back of the book and flip it over. Pull the twine snugly, making sure that it's all really tight, and release the other end of your twine from the clip. You should have more twine to tie with than I did. Tie a knot over one of the holes and trim off any extra. You just bound a book. You can add decorations or words to the front page, and then you can later color in your illustrations. You can also add a decoration to the front of the book if you wish. Share your creations using the hashtag ReynoldaAtHome on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. You can find these kits in the Reynolda House Museum store, or find links below for the PDF instructions and a printable template that you could use to make your own book pages. You can find these by following the link below the video and scrolling to helpful downloads at the bottom of the page.